All right, the stream is telling me that I'm live, so hopefully you guys are able to hear me. Hopefully you guys are able to see me. Good morning to all of you. I'm Niladri Mukherjee, and I'm a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. I practice here in Guelph, Ontario. I'm recording this video on a bright, sunny, beautiful Monday afternoon, and the topic of the video that I thought, I have been thinking to address for a very long time is the labor market impact assessment, or LMIA. Um, so what is it? What is it all about? What is the big fuss about LMIA? Who can issue an LMIA? And being foreign nationals like most of you, is it really a practical aspect for you to even understand, to even consider if you are to get, if you want to get a get yourself a job offer and potentially immigrate to Canada? So this is what this video is all about. Now, before I start even talking, a big disclaimer, guys: I will not be able to help you out with an LMIA. So please, after this video, do not send me emails, sir, I need your help with a job offer, I need your help with an LMIA. I will not be able to help you with any of those. And this is exactly why I'm recording this video, to let all of you know as to what really you should expect, sort of to clear up some basic fundamentals, if you will, so that you know what to expect, what not to expect, and potentially do not fall prey to those kind of traps. So, what is LMIA? Like, the full form of LMIA is Labor Market Impact Assessment, right? So, this, in a simplistic format, this really means that if I am a Canadian employer and if I need to hire foreign resources, because if I feel that I'm not getting skilled resources within Canada, those are either a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident. So I need to depend on the foreign resources to fill in the labor market requirement for myself, and hence I will request the ESTC, the Employment and Service Development Canada, to give me permission to hire for an employer, right? So asking for that permission is a lengthy, complicated process, and once I get the permission, the permission itself is called labor market impact assessment, which means that then the Employment and Service Development Canada, or ESTC, will do a detailed analysis to see whether my understanding is genuine, whether my requirement is genuine, whether my expectation or what I'm asking is genuine in their eyes, in the laws of Canada and everything else. And then they will issue me either a neutral LMIA or a positive LMIA, both of which mean that, yes, I have given the permission to hire foreign resources, right? Because I have been able to prove that I do not get sufficient resources as per my requirement that are available in Canada holding some kind of a legal status, such as your permanent residency or a Canadian citizen themselves. So this is what, in nutshell, is the LMIA all about, right? So as I have said, then who issues the LMIA? ESTC, Employment and Service Development Canada. Who asks for the LMIA? The employers ask for the LMIA, not the candidates, not the immigration consultant, right? This is why I tell you that I will not be able to help you with an LMIA. No consultant, no legal consultant or a lawyer will be able to help you with an LMIA. This is the fundamental that you should keep in mind, right? So who needs the LMIA? Employers need the LMIA to hire foreign resources. Who issues it? ESDC issues it, right? So this is the basic. Now, as I have mentioned that, I, being a Canadian employer, I am saying that, well, I do not have access to the qualified, skilled, and the desired resources within Canada, those who are either a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident. Hence, I need to hire foreign resources. Now, is this idea really practical, right? Why on earth I'm not getting qualified and skilled resources in Canada when Canada is inviting a lot of immigrants every single month, every single year? Well, this is true because number one, well, I will not say number one. One way to looking at it is that it may be true. Actually, it could be true that, yes, I am looking for a specialty chef, maybe, who is very proficient in some kind of cuisine from South India. For example, I'm not getting that kind of cook or chef in my locality in Canada who are either a permanent resident or a Canadian citizen, or I am not getting exactly. So even if I have somebody who is a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident, that person is not willing to work for me, right? Hence, I need somebody to hire from outside. That is one way to look at it. The other way, and now this is a genuine way to look at it, right? Now, other way to look at it, which by law is still a genuine way to look at it, is that, well, for example, I need to have my known person from India, for example, to come to Canada to work for a company, for example, to work for me, here in Canada. Hence, I am with the support of a very good documentation. I'm trying to prove that yes, in spite of there are a lot of immigration consultants here in Canada, there's a lot of immigration consultants who could be a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident, yet I am not able to get that specific person that I wish to get here in Southern Ontario. Is it practical? 100% yes, it is practical. Why? Because it's all about documentation, right? It is not illegal. It is nothing illegal in it. I am not asking for money to issue the LMIA. I'm not doing anything illegal. Yes, it is 100% practical to really to make sure that my LMIA is approved if my documentation is strong. So in a nutshell, it is a practical idea, right? It is a practical idea because if your documentation is very, very strong, if the firm that you're being end up working with, be it a licensed immigration consulting firm such as myself or a lawyer, if the person is able to prove, and obviously the company has to be a genuine company as well. Now, if both of that combination is able to prove that yes, there are actually not that kind of specific resources here in Canada who could either be a Canadian citizen or a PR, yes, the LMIA would be accepted. The LMIA will be approved. So from practical standpoint, sure, it is a practical idea. Now that brings me to the second question. Well, hey, if you're telling me that, well, it is a practical idea, then why not many employers are like, why not many? Why not all the employers are hiring foreign resources issuing LMIAs? Now, that is a practical question. That is a very fundamental aspect that you have to understand. Even though it is very, very practical to have an LMIA approved, to get an LMIA approved from legal standpoint, it is not that much practically possible for each and every employer to comply with all the legal requirements that comes with the LMIA. This is the fundamental guiding principle that you have to understand, that if I'm hiring a foreign resource using LMIA, I am being bound to comply with a lot of protocols, lot of employer specific protocols that the law requires me to go, to abide by with. I have to make sure that I am being, I am remunerating the employee maybe once in a year, kind of a return airfare. That employee is given a safe housing. The employee has given proper insurance. The the workplace is perfect, and the list goes on and on and on. And then I will be part of that compliance audit or the security audit by ESTC. Now, this is the reason as to why many employers do not want to go for this LMIA route, because it's not that the workplace they're offering is not safe. It's not that they are not paying adequate salary. It is also not true that they are not ready to remunerate the employees with respect to the return airfare. But why on earth would somebody be that desperate to hire a resource so that after hiring the resource, the employer becomes a part of a legal protocol, a part of a compliance process? A lot of employers do issue LMIA for really critical positions, but if you request a random employer who do not even know you, who thinks that, well, your skill set could very well be met by a Canadian citizen or a PR or somebody that is already in Canada with a valid open work permit, maybe, all right, could fill the gaps. Maybe not now, maybe 1 month or 2 months down the line. So here is the main bottleneck, that which is why not everybody is hiring foreign resources using LMIA as an option. Because if they do, they will be part of that compliance audit, that rigorous compliance audit, if you will, the annual check, the quarterly check. Nobody really wants to be part of those things, because once those guys come for a check, most likely they will find out something or the other, right? If they want to find out a fault, they will find out a fault, right? So this is the fundamental reason as to why many employers are refraining from hiring foreign resources with LMIA as an option. So this is something that you have to keep in mind. And before you even ask for a unknown employer that you might have met in social media or otherwise, sir, please give me an LMIA, this is what you have to keep in mind. And this is also you have to keep in mind is that along with you, a million other people, maybe a billion, if not a million other people from all across India, particularly from Asia, particularly from countries such as India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Philippines, in some extent China as well. Those very specific countries are are very fond of LMIAs, right? People often, all the time, people just ask for LMIA, LMIA, right? So why would they give, why would they go through the headache of going through such a kind of protocol to hire a foreign resource that they may not be sure whether they will end up working, for them or not, right? This is something that you have to keep in mind. So assuming that you get an LMIA, or you are able to convince your employer, the employer goes through the rigorous LMIA process through ESDC and gets an LMIA approved from ESDC. What would be the next step? Well, the employer will then have to apply for the LMIA work permit, right? So LMIA is being asked by the employer, the work permit is being asked by the employee, because the permission to hire foreign resources is being required by the employer. But you, as a foreign national, you would need the permission to work in Canada. Hence, you have to ask for the work permit. So it's an employer-employee kind of a relationship that governs this whole process. From my experience, 99.9% of the time, the processing fee for LMIA, be it my legal fee or otherwise government processing fee, is being paid by the employer. And when it comes to the work permit process, be it the government fee or my legal fee, is being remunerated by the employee. But there have also been cases where I was paid by the employee directly, because that's the kind of arrangement that the potential employee or the potential foreign resource might have ended up with that potential employer. Having said that, the retainer agreement that I signed, that any law firm would sign when it comes to the LMIA, will be with the employer. The retainer agreement that somebody would sign for work permit will be with the employee. This is something you have to keep in mind. And if somebody is asking you to sign a retainer agreement, you being a foreign resource, if you are being asked to sign a retainer agreement for an LMIA, so that if the LMIA you think is between you and the legal firm and not the employer and the legal firm, there is something fishy in it. Double check on that, right? So this basically follows after LMIA. You have to apply for a employer specific work permit, a closed work permit, if you will, for most of the times. It could be a named, it could be unnamed, but in the end, it will be a closed work permit. Something that we really have to keep in mind in this, in this particular aspect here, is that there is no such relation between getting an LMIA approved and a work permit approved. An LMIA could be approved, but if the work permit application is not proper, the work permit could be rejected as well, right? So even if you get a positive LMIA, that does not really mean that your work permit will be 100% approved. Now, this is also a very common question that I get, that, well, if I work with you, will my work permit be approved 100%? If I work with you, if my LMIA will be approved 100%? The 100% guarantee, 100% assurance, 100% success rate, or like all those related terms are being usually used by fraudulent consultants. If you end up working with a legal consultant such as myself or anybody else that is trying to do business judicially, that is trying to do business legally, will refrain from using those terms ever. So no matter whomsoever you end up working with, nobody in this world can guarantee you is that if your LMIA is approved, your work permit will be approved. Those are separate applications. And there I have seen many instances where the LMIA is approved, the work permit is rejected, because the work permit applications are being done differently, are being reviewed differently. So that could also be a possibility. Now, by now, I'm sure you probably know and by understand that what is an LMIA, what are the drawbacks of LMIA, or whether now you are probably in a position to understand whether LMIA is for you or not, right? So as I've been always saying, that what if you keep on waiting for, keep on just, spending months and years to get that employer that would eventually give you an LMIA, and maybe, a few months have passed, maybe a year has passed or whatever, right? You still not get an LMIA, then you feel frustrated, right? So what you can do really is that to diversify your bucket. It is not a prudent idea to keep on looking for a job offer from outside Canada, regardless of your location. Well, if you're in the UK or some part of Europe where you can be part of, visa on arrival and all those kind of things. For example, if you're coming from the US, then you'll be able to apply for a work permit on your port of entry. So those are very different things. But I'm assuming that most of you are watching this video from Africa, from Asia, from Middle East. 99.9% of you will need a work permit before you get to work in Canada. And for you to get a work permit, you need to get a job offer first. And hence, this LMIA comes into picture. So do not really depend on this LMIA thing for all your life. Always have to diversify the bucket. Make sure you get done with your IELTS, make sure you get done with your ECA, make sure all the documents that you potentially need for your immigration, right? Or your employer reference check for the previous employer and everything else is in place. And then you create an express entry profile and look for provincial nominee programs as well. Alongside, look for these options such as LMIA. So looking for a provincial nominee options, if you do not want to go through studies, right? At this point in time, study is something that is working like flawlessly. Even if you're 40, even if you're 45, I have examples till about 48. The person has received the study permit, the spouse of the person has got open work permit, and then the kids have received their respective study permits as well. So study is definitely a possibility, but obviously it's quite expensive. It's not for everybody, because not everybody is that motivated to come to Canada at the age of whatever age bracket you are currently in. If you're a mature student, I do understand that it leads to a lot of hesitancy whether I will be a genuine student, whether my study permit will be approved or not. But for a genuine application, if you're able to prove your intention quite categorically, quite clearly in the study permit application, there is no reason as to why your study permit would be rejected, even if you have 20 years of gap between your last education to your proposed education in Canada. So study is the number one option that is working for at least as of now. If that is not something for you, then obviously PNPs, and now a lot of PNPs do not require you to have a job offer. For example, Saskatchewan, for example, PEI, right? Those kind of PNPs. Then third option, I will talk about the immigration pilot, which used to be pilot programs and now permanent programs such as Atlantic Immigration, which obviously require you to have a job offer, but which does not require the employers to go through the LMIA process, right? So if you are able to convince a designated employer that I am the exact resource that you need, probably the employer will be all set to issue you a job offer, and based on that job offer, you will be able to apply for your work permit directly. You will be able to apply for your PR directly without even going for the work permit route, and can be in Canada very, very soon. The processing time for Atlantic Immigration Program has been reduced quite a lot, and this is definitely a practical program to look at particularly when the express entry draws are not happening, right, in 2022 or maybe in 2023. And in the fourth position, I will probably look for LMIA. Now, do not think that I'm discouraging you to even look for LMIA jobs. I am not. There are multiple positions for which LMIA is very, very useful. For example, there are a number of, there is a massive shortage of truck drivers here in Canada. So if you're able to come here on a visit visa, and if you get yourself into, a driving school and can really convince an employer to give you, to ask for an LMIA on your behalf, 9 out of 10 employees will probably say no, but one will probably say yes as well. For a cook, if you're a chef, this is a possibility. Now, there are many other positions for which there are vacancies for skilled resources, right? Now, there will be, quite a possibility for an employer to go for the LMIA route, but this is not a, I would say, the most workable route or the most desired route that an employer would want to go for majority of the positions, right? Because for majority of the positions, yes, you'll probably get, the resources already available here in Canada. Now, important to add to that is that if you're coming here on Canada on a visit visa and trying to get in touch with the employers for the employers to potentially either issue an LMIA to you, do not really come to, for example, Toronto and go to Brampton. Do not really land in Vancouver and go to Surrey. Go to offbeat places where majority do not go. Go to Nova Scotia or maybe go to Alberta. I'm not saying majority do not go to Alberta, but obviously the percentage of people that come to Toronto is far higher than percentage of people that go to Alberta, right? Maybe go to some far out in, some far north. Maybe go to Sudbury. Maybe just cross even far north, right? There will be employers, there will be trucking companies that would really require resources, right? So that's the way to take if you are to go for LMIA. But having said that, I will put study number one. I will talk about LMIA, PNPs, non-job offer based PNPs number two. I will take the Atlantic Immigration in number three, and then I will put LMIA on number four for majority of my clients. Now, this is obviously not true for everybody. If somebody comes to me for a consultation, and if the person is a chef, and I personally feel that because I have been living here for a long time, I have a decent idea as to what is being desired here in Canada, what is not being desired here in Canada, even not being in contact with the employers. I go to a lot of restaurants and I see particularly in the summertime that, the hiring signs are on. So A lot of things could be discussed in the consultation. Now, obviously, if you need my professional assistance with this whole process, you can come for a consultation. That will be your first step. That will be my first step for me to make sure I'm being using my professional time judiciously to talk to you, being able to review your documents to let you know what your options are. Please do not ask for a job offer from myself. I am too small a person to help you with the job offer. And by now, probably you should know, why should you not ask for a job offer from anybody here in Canada except for the genuine employers? That brings me to my very last point. Do not pay any money to anybody that is asking for money in lieu of a job offer in Canada. It's common sense. I am from India. I have changed jobs multiple times when I was in India. Never did I pay a single rupee in India when that employer has given me a job offer. I'm sure the very same thing is true for you as well. If you're working for an unknown employer and tomorrow if you get a call from Google India, you will not pay Google to hire you, right? This is the Google needs an employee and you need an employer, and that's the perfect match. Here there is a one more layer. You need a work permit and all those things, but that's not really the headache of the employer. That's your headache. And if you're working with a professional, really good professional law firm, really good professional consulting firm here in Canada, you probably do not need a lawyer. For your LMIA consulting firm would be as good. Your objective will be sorted, but do not feel desperate. I do understand. I felt desperate when I was trying to migrate to Canada. Hence, if I put yourself into your shoes, I definitely do understand the desperation, but at the same time, it's your hard-earned money and it's my responsibility to tell you no, for the betterment of our system, for the betterment of my profession. And I think I'm legally obliged to tell all of you is that please go through the college of the IC, the CICC website, our regulatory body website, to see the frauds thing, that you can potentially avoid. And from my experience, I can tell you is that 90, if not 99% of the frauds do take place due to job offer. It's a scam. Do not fall prey to that. If you need professional assistance, drop me a line, contact@nuvonation.ca. If you have generic questions, follow this YouTube channel. And along with me, also, there are a number of good YouTube channels. I'm sure your questions will be answered, but I prefer to answer case specific questions only during a consultation because of my limited bandwidth, because of the very small team that we work with. And yes, so if you need professional assistance, drop me a line. I will be very glad to assist you. Our email ID is contact@nuvonation.ca. All right, so I will leave you there. It's about 12:23 here in Guelph, Ontario. I will concentrate on my other projects today, and I wish you have a very good rest of the day. I'll see you tomorrow, or maybe not, day after tomorrow. Bye now.